This is Miriam Raftery with East County Magazine, and I want to welcome everyone to our La Mesa Candidates Forum. Thank you so much to our candidates for participating. Tonight's candidates are Genevieve Suzuki, who is an attorney, journalist, a former editor-in-chief of the La Mesa Courier, and a community volunteer. We're going, left to right. Kristine Alessio is our former council member. She's an attorney, a small business owner, and she has a background in real estate and land use. Lauren Cazares is policy advisor at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, and she's volunteered on the La Mesa Community Police Oversight Board and a whole bunch of other community groups. And Shawn Townsend is the CEO of Reflection Training Gear, as well as a former clinical exercise physiologist at Nellis Air Force Base. And Aaron, top left, has generously volunteered to be our timekeeper tonight. So thank you, Ellen, for your participation as well. Candidates, I would urge all of you now to open your chat, and that's where she'll be posting a 15-second warning when you're close to running out of time. We are going to start by having each candidate briefly tell us a little bit about your experiences and qualifications and your top goals if you are elected to the La Mesa City Council. And this is, by the way, a very important race. We have 2 open seats because we have Jack Shue is retiring and Colin Parent is stepping down from the council because he's running for the state assembly. So 2 open seats. It's going to be 2 new faces. And tonight you're going to hear from all of them. So let's start. Let's just go talk. We'll keep it, clockwise to make this easy. Genevieve, let's start with you. If you could tell us about your experiences and qualifications and top goals if elected.
Thank you, Miriam. You can call me Jen. I'm excited to be here today. I'm a family law attorney with more than a decade of experience, dedicated to help families navigate challenging times with compassion and expertise. And beyond my professional life, I'm deeply involved in community service. I've served on the Community Services Commission and the La Mesa Park and Recreation Foundation Board of Directors. I've strived to make our community a better place for everyone. As a parent, I've been active in my kids' parent-teacher group at my children's school, serving as president in 2022. My husband, Derek, also contributes to education through his work with San Diego Unified School District as a program manager for instructional technology. We have 2 wonderful kids, Quinn, 15, and Deacon, 9, who constantly inspire us to be more engaged in our community. They are the reasons I got involved to begin with. Parks and the library are super important to families and people with kids. I look forward to sharing my insights and learning from everyone here today. Right now, my platform, and I say right now because my platform is ever evolving as I canvass our neighborhoods. But right now, I'd like to discuss affordable housing, addressing homelessness in a humane, compassionate way, ensuring that our public safety and firefighters are supported, and also, again, just enhancing our community services around La Mesa and growing our library to be the kind of library that attracts everyone from young to older. I'm not going to say old. So thank you for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Genevieve. Kristine, let's hear from you.
Hi, my name is Kristine Alessio. I've been on the Planning Commission. I was a city council person. I was born in La Mesa. I raised my daughter Emily in La Mesa. I am a former board member of the East County Boys and Girls Club, the East County YMCA. I am a current director of the La Mesa History Center, and my goals for La Mesa are really, really simple. Fix the roads, more law enforcement, public safety, and maintain La Mesa's small town character. And with the state regulations being what they are for affordable housing, I'm probably the only person here who's ever built affordable housing in La Mesa, and I have it right now. It's my Cantera project. And my experience, I think, sets me apart, but I love all these candidates, and I would be happy to serve with any of them. I think they are all great people with good goals. But again, it's public safety, it's roads, and it's maintaining community character that are important to me. And I am an attorney, I'm a land use attorney.
Very good. Thank you. And thanks to everyone for staying within those time limits, for making it easy and for being civil to everyone. It's great to see. Lauren Cazares, let's hear from you now.
Thank you so much, Miriam, for hosting this in East County Magazine. Thank you to Erin for volunteering as our timekeeper. And thank you to my fellow candidates for being here. I'm so glad to be here with you all. I echo what Kristine says. We have a really great group of folks here running for La Mesa City Council. And I think we probably have other things in common, but the biggest thing that we all have in common is we love this community and we want to give back to it. So I'm glad to be here with you all. So I'm a policy advisor at the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. We're the largest chamber of commerce or business organization on the West Coast. I specialize in environment and sustainability, education and workforce issues, small business and economic development. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of La Mesa, and I'm a second generation La Mesa homeowner. I bought my home here back in 2021. And I live in the northwest area of La Mesa with my rescue dog, Taylor. Prior to the chamber, I served in a bunch of political roles. My entire career has been in this field, bouncing around from campaigns to policy to administration into the bureaucracy. I've got a lot of experience working in the bureaucracy and a lot of experience working out in the advocacy space as well. And I think that's what really sets me apart, is I have the skills to advocate on the outside and get things done on the inside. I think it's really important that we build broad and diverse coalitions to get things done. So that is what I'm passionate about. I'm also the eldest daughter of small business owners. My parents really got to live the American dream here in La Mesa and start building generational wealth for us here. I was the first person in my family to go to college. I'm a graduate of Point Loma Nazarene University. And some of my priorities for La Mesa are to ensure that our police department and fire department have enough staff and to improve the just day-to-day lives for La Mesa, whether that is streets, housing, and fixing the homelessness crisis.
Very good. Thank you so much, Lauren. Shawn, please share your qualifications and your goals if elected.
Well, my name is Shawn Townsend. I'm actually a personal trainer. I've trained many La Mesians. I technically worked for the military for numerous of years. My background really gives me a unique skill set because what I do is seek out dysfunction and I correct it as a personal trainer. So I think I can bring my skill set to the city hall, found out the dysfunctionality, and correct it. I mean, we can sit here and talk about, okay, we need affordable housing and homeless, but how many times have we had this conversation? One thing about a personal trainer is we don't like repetition failure. If I have a client and they can't lose 20 pounds, we have to go in a different direction. And that's what I've always thought. That's what I've always done. So I want to bring my background as a personal trainer, my mindset, and my skill set to City Hall and get things done. I'm a doer. I don't know if you see me on Channel 10 News last week where I hiked Cowles Mountain to clean up some graffiti. I did that out of sheer will. It had nothing to do with the right thing or the wrong thing. It had to be done. So me looking at the city hall, I asked myself, okay, we have a homeless problem. How long have we had this problem? And when did this problem got worse? And so I would identify that and try to figure out a way to get pretty much everyone on board with the homeless. Because it won't do any good if we stop here in La Mesa and El Cajon doesn't solve their problems, or Santee, or Lakeside, or Chula Vista. So my platform actually is getting collectively the 18 cities on the same page when it comes to these issues. Because I know if we don't, it won't do us any good. So it's like you're in your yard and there's leaves on the ground and everybody got a leaf blower and blowing in different directions. That's why I think the chaos and the political aspect is in right now. So my platform is getting everybody on the same page, the 18 cities that's in San Diego County, and we work together to solve homeless And I really don't like the term affordable housing. I like it to be reasonable. It may be affordable for some. But I like the term reasonable housing. I look forward to reasonable housing. It's just something reasonable. Uh, we work two jobs and go to school, and you can't live independently. That's a dysfunction. There's something wrong. That violates the rule of pursuit of happiness. So my platform is getting all 18 cities on board with the same ideals.
We're at time. Shawn, be sure to check the comments there. She did give you the warning, but I'll let you finish the sentence.
I was in my zone.
Okay, yeah. That's all right. That's all right. You're a first-time candidate, so easy for that to happen. Let's start with an easy question. I think we can do this one in 1 minute each or less. Do you support or oppose Proposition L, the sales tax measure that's on the ballot, and why? Let's see. We started with Genevieve last time, so let's start with Kristine.
I support it with conditions. Having been on the city council earlier, I have seen the helpfulness that Prop L brought to us. However, the money needs to be conditioned on it being spent in the right place. Right now, the city of La Mesa has a 60% increase in administrative staff. That's not helping public safety. It's not fixing roads. It's not doing anything. So why is that? I have no problem paying an extra tax as long as it's something that works for me. And so, yes, we need it with conditions. And yes, the conditions to be citizen oversight and a clear place that the money is going.
Okay, thank you. Lauren, what are your thoughts on Prop L?
I definitely support Proposition L. I'm really proud to be endorsed by the La Mesa Police Officers Association and La Mesa Firefighters Local 4759. I've talked to them extensively about what Prop L means to their departments. And my platform is a clean and safe La Mesa, and Proposition L is critical in funding a clean and safe La Mesa, especially for our firefighters and our police officers, and for infrastructure maintenance. La Mesa is truly the jewel of the hills because we have this sales tax. It's really what differentiates us from some surrounding cities like Lemon Grove. We have the infrastructure and we have nicer roads and sidewalks because we have this tax. Again, there's a lot of misinformation out there that this is an additional tax. It's not. It's renewing an existing tax. I'm sure all of us on here know this, but I want to make sure everyone listening does as well. But I don't think we need to make any devastating budget cuts because we already have a lean city budget and we need to be staffing up, not staffing down.
Okay, thank you. Shawn, your views on Prop L?
Well, I read extensively on Proposition L. It's an extension, which we've known that it's worked, and I support it 100%. Like Kristine said, if the money's clear exactly where it's going, that's the key factor, and make sure that our police departments and our fire departments are being taken care of. That's obviously a good thing. So if it's not broken, don't fix it. Let's continue the extension.
Okay, and Genevieve.
Thank you. Like Lauren, I am also endorsed by our police officers and the firefighters, and I absolutely support Proposition L. We already have an oversight committee that was part of the, when they established Proposition L, they also established the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. So there are people who are keeping track of it. We need to keep La Mesa. And by that, I agree with our other candidates here. Our city is fantastic when it comes to roads. You can tell the difference when you're driving from La Mesa into San Diego. And I love San Diego as a county, but man, our roads beat them and we need to keep them up. We also need to provide support so we can fully staff our police, so we can fully staff our firefighters and provide them with the kind of equipment they need to keep saving lives and keeping our community going.
Okay, thank you very much. The next question deals with housing, which, as many of you have alluded to, is one of the most important issues facing La Mesa and really all of California. We're going to take 2 minutes each, up to 2 minutes on this one. How would you balance the need for new housing, especially affordable housing, versus concerns by some existing residents over increased traffic and density and demolishing existing affordable homes to make way for new higher end condos and so forth. And I'm going to throw in also, if you have any ideas for streamlining the process, to make it easier to construct new housing, we'd love to hear about that too. Let's see, I believe it is Lauren's turn to go first.
Thank you. As I mentioned in my intro, I'm a second generation La Mesa homeowner, and I am a young person. I'm actually Gen Z, and I think that it's really important that we have folks who grew up in our communities making decisions to be able to expand our communities in the ways that it's needed. I was only able to buy a condo because condos were available. I do not make enough money to buy a single family home, but now that I have equity in this condo, I will be able to do so in the future. And that's something that's really important to me. Home ownership is the number one path to generational wealth, and we all deserve that opportunity. It shouldn't be an anomaly. So I really think it's important that we speed up this permitting process. It's kind of a disaster right now. I know Councilwoman Patricia Dillard and Councilwoman Laura Lothian have been working together trying to start to fix that. And I think that it's really important that we keep working on that. As someone who's worked in the bureaucracy, I know how to work with our city staff. I am not looking to be their boss. I'm looking to work with them to be able to streamline those permitting processes. We've got bills from the state that allow us to build in transit priority areas and allow there to be more streamlined processes. That way, we can get a lot more creative, I think, and I think we need to. I live on probably the densest street in La Mesa. It is all condos, about 2 to 3 stories high, and it's a beautiful area. I don't think everyone needs to live in condos. Absolutely not. We need to build more single family housing as well. But what I really want to prioritize is infill and mixed use housing. I love over by Collier Park, we've got dark horse coffee roasters on the bottom. We've got housing on the top. I want to see more of that. I want to see more of it near our parks, and I want to see it at Grossmont Center when we eventually redevelop. It was bought a couple of years ago, and I think that's important.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Shawn, let's hear from you on housing.
Well, housing is a unique situation because like my platform is, collectively we have to do it. La Mesa is 9 square miles. I'm not gonna, support a bunch of dumping apartments inside Mesa when you have other cities. So my whole platform on that is collectively, based on the size of your cities, it goes that way. How many apartment buildings should be built instead of just dumping them in, La Mesa? We need to look at Alpine, Coronado, Encinitas, Chula Vista, and collectively come together and figure out where we can put these houses at. Like I said, affordable, I don't like that word, just reasonable. I can deal with reasonable. And once we get that situated and allocated, we put in certain things where per unit you need 3 parking spaces. So you need a parking garage. You can't park on public parking anymore. There's no more parking. So once we get the structure of the building and make sure that each unit design where we zone it where they have 3 parking spaces per unit. So they have to supply that to build that unit. So I think that would help, the cost of pricing because their houses will be allocated all throughout San Diego County, not just in the borders of La Mesa.
Okay, thank you very much. Genevieve, let's hear from you on your thoughts on housing.
I'll tell you, as a family law attorney for 14 years, I have learned intimately about our family's struggle to be able to afford their housing. My clients, on a daily basis, I'm addressing the fact that maybe they bring home $4,000 and $2,800 of it goes to a 1-bedroom home for a family of 4. It's ridiculous. We need to do something about affordable housing and make sure that people can afford to rent and still have money to go out and invest in the community. I'm definitely committed and devoted to finding out that, working with others to figure out how we can make sure people can afford that rent. I agree that we need diverse options. as a small family myself, I mean, with my husband and our two kids and my mom, we can't afford to upgrade. The house that we bought, we're still in it, because now upgrading to even a three-bedroom, two bath house or one bath house is $950,000. $950,000 for a family that's dealing with all of the other things, utilities, groceries, all of the other needs. They can't afford it. We need to start working with developers and coming up with options, public, mixed public, private, um, you know, approaches so that we can help people afford starter homes and afford to upgrade. I like the idea of mixed use. I agree. Grossmont Shopping Center. If they're gonna change it up, I'm all for mixed use. I would also like one of my good friends who is way more knowledgeable than I am brought up the idea of even adding a section of Grossmont Center that is a little hotel so that we can the city can make more money off of that as well as affordable housing on top of retail. It could be a really fantastic thing, especially for families who have members in the hospital at Sharp. So I think there's a lot out there, but we definitely have to start addressing it in a meaningful manner.
Okay, thank you, Genevieve. Kristine, we'll let you wrap up the question on housing.
Thank you. Housing, the primary driver of housing costs is delay. Um, with my Cantera project that is currently going on in La Mesa, it was a 7-year delay. Now imagine the carrying costs on that and imagine who they're going to get passed on to. Cantera is detached housing. Genevieve, if you are more than welcome to move up to that, $730,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So you can do it. The problem, again, is delay. I am in favor of mixed use, but I'm also in favor of preserving single-family neighborhoods. You don't get to build 3 stories in a place that's always been single family. You don't get to do that. I am completely opposed to that. And I agree with Lauren, you have to have something that someone can buy to move up. It's the only way to have people go from renting to homeownership. And so I believe that we do need multifamily housing, but we have to be very careful where we put it. And the key thing, if you look at Coronado, La Jolla, where my daughter went to school, Santa Barbara, is design guidelines. Right now, our city basically has design guidelines that have a window and you'll be okay. So what do we want to see in La Mesa? Do we want each quadrant of La Mesa where Lauren lives, where Genevieve lives, where Shawn lives, where I live is slightly unique? Why don't we, as growth comes, as state laws mandate that we grow, why don't we have some design guidelines out there? We have a design review board with no guidelines. And I think one of the biggest things that we can do to have housing and affordable housing fit within our community is to have some good design guidelines.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's move on to another subject. I think we can do this one in probably a minute each or less. Do you believe that La Mesa should restore remote public comments, which the council banned a few months ago after they received a barrage of anti-Semitic comments that disrupted a single meeting briefly? And let's see, I believe it is, I've lost track here. Is it Shawn, I think it's your turn to go first on this.
What was the question again?
A few months ago, La Mesa banned remote public comments. You have to be there in person now to make public comments because they had one meeting where they had some people call in with anti-Semitic remarks. And I guess the thought was if they banned it and made people show up in person, maybe that wouldn't happen. My question is, do you believe remote public comments should be restored or with any, restrictions?
I don't.
Kind of a tough
I
one.
think it should be restored. I'm 50-50. I mean, there's pros and cons to it.
Right.
I think the reason why we stored because I guess there was from afar or a distance making comments. I did read about it.
Mm-hmm.
Was kind of like disturbing at the time, but I'm 50-50. I mean, I could ban it or I can reinstate it, you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Genevieve, how about you?
I'm for restoring it as an attorney who practices remotely and also loves the way that the courts have adapted it so that we can all appear remotely and save our clients' funds. I think that there's a huge benefit to it. We need diverse opinions. We also need to allow for people who cannot make the meetings to be there. And if they want to offer comments, we should allow them to. Now, that said, there obviously have to be guidelines, and we can make those guidelines available for people to review online through our city website. And there are ways to mute people. There are ways to shut them down after 2 minutes. They know that hate speech is not allowed. I think that we need to bring it back because without everybody's input from our community, and I think that Shawn made a good point, that people were concerned about people from outside our community. Well, I mean, we need all viewpoints, but yeah, there's no reason to exclude people.
Yeah, when it happened once, it might be different perhaps if it happened, many times. But
Absolutely.
Kristine, what are your thoughts about restoring public comments?
I think that public comment should be allowed via Zoom. We've entered into a different age. We now do our entire forum right now via Zoom.
Right.
I don't have a problem with it. What I do have a problem with is the entire city council listening to basically hate speech, anti-Semitic and racist hate speech, and not doing a dang darn thing about it. You say, oh, it's public comment. I can't respond to it. You know what? That's just not right. You can get off the dais, and I did when I was a councilwoman, and I addressed the public. And my biggest problem was their lack of reaction to people saying terrible, hateful, sickening things. Oh, we're going to cut off public comment via Zoom. No, that's not good enough for me. What's good enough for me is you getting down off the dais when you are sitting there as an elected official and listening to this and then turning around, even though you can't respond to public comment, getting off the dais and saying, this has no place in my city. So yes, I would restore public comment via Zoom, and every person on the council, whether it's me, whether it's Shawn, whether it's Lauren, whether it's Genevieve, if that ever happens again, get off the dais, go to the public comment and denounce it.
Okay. Lauren, you can wrap up the question on restoring public comments for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% support restoring public comment. I actually went to the subsequent council meeting and spoke in opposition, asking them to bring it back, but also acknowledging and calling out the hate speech. I think, again, we all know hate speech is protected by the First Amendment, and it is really critical that we maintain folks' First Amendment rights. That being said, there are times when things are so inappropriate and so out of line that they do need to be addressed. And I agree. There are rules that we have to follow on that dais. There are expectations, Robert's Rules of Order and the Brown Act and those types of things. That being said, there are creative ways like getting off the dais and going to public comment and addressing that, because the anti-Semitic vile hatred that was spewed that night was wildly inappropriate and disgusting. I do think it needs to be restored because people have kids at home or aging parents or pets. A lot of folks have abnormal working hours. Not everyone works 9 to 5. So I think it's an equity issue. It needs to be restored. But just like the County Board of Supervisors does, if it's off topic, they need to be shut down immediately and it needs to be addressed. Again, we can't limit speech, but we can limit their topics. I understand there are other ways to do it, but that's a big priority of mine to bring it back.
Okay, thanks to all of you for addressing that. I do think we all agree that hate speech is vile wherever it happens, and it's just a balancing act of how do you protect, free speech, and at the same time, also protect the rights of everyone else that is being hurt when they can't call in and don't have a way to get to the meetings. The next question, let's take 2 minutes on this one, homelessness. I would like to hear from each of you on what more, if anything, you think the city should do to address the homelessness problem specifically, and also your opinion about how well current efforts are working, such as the home program. Let's see, I think it's Genevieve. Genevieve, you're first on this one.
I'd like to first start with addressing that, or at least saying that the home program is fantastic. I think they've been doing a fantastic job, and everyone involved has really been invested. And I think it absolutely needs to be supported so that it can continue its work, and the good people of the home program can continue their efforts. I think what we need is we need to address homelessness in a humane way. And I say that because as a parent, one of the things that happened with having my kids is my perspective shifted. And you never know when your kid is the one on the street and needs help. And what we don't want to do is just send them miles away, an hour and a half, 2 hours, so we don't have to see them. We need to find and identify a location so that we can create a center for them, and a center so that we can house them first, so that it's safety for them and it's safety for everyone involved. And then once we get them housed, we can actually start offering wraparound services, creating rehabilitation services, and making sure they have the kind of help and support they need. It's anyone can be homeless. It takes you never know what life event takes you there. And to approach it in a way that is not kind or even compassionate, it's not something that's going to be sustainable. I think La Mesa has it in it. As I've been canvassing, people have all been on board with making sure we treat the unhoused with love. And I really think that, we are a city that could open its hearts to making sure that we could become a model of how to take care of our unhoused and ensure that they have the services that they require.
Thank you very much. Kristine, the question was on the homelessness, the approach to the homelessness.
I think the home program has done an excellent job, but when we say homelessness, we are addressing multiple issues. My own half sister was homeless. She was homeless for a long time. She did not want help. We are addressing drug addiction. We are addressing mental illness. We are addressing people who have lost their homes because they can't afford it anymore. And there is not it's not something that one thing can cure. It's a multifaceted program. From my standpoint, I think that banning outdoor camping, like the city of San Diego did, would be a good thing in public places. You have to have a carrot and a stick. The carrot is our home program. It's fabulous with a tremendous success rate. The stick is you need to go into it. There was a homeless woman who was killed in La Mesa camping outside. What if she said, and our liaison on the police oversight board, who's the homeless advocate, says there's some people who just won't go. So it's a very, very complex and difficult problem, and it's not an easy one to solve. It's not just a roof over their head. If someone won't go into that area, what do you do about it? If they're offered a roof, a bed, an apartment, what do you do about it? That is a huge, complex program. I agree with Genevieve that you must treat people humanely. And right now, I feel like we treat dogs and cats better. If a stray dog and cat is picked up on the street, they're treated with more compassion than homeless people are. And the reason is we have control over the homeless people, the dog and cat. And it's such a hard problem. And I don't think that La Mesa can fix it. I think the state needs to fix it, but I agree that it has to be a compassionate and balanced approach.
Okay, thank you, Kristine. Lauren, let's hear from you about the homelessness crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something that, like Kristine, is very close to my heart. I have a close family member who has been homeless for more than my entire life, who I have met and spent small amounts of time with because of their situation. And it's something that is really close to my heart because these are people, and a lot of these folks, not all of them, but a lot of these folks are people with really serious mental illness, really serious addiction problems. And then there are some folks who just live paycheck to paycheck and lost their job or had a medical emergency. Um, Kristine and Genevieve are absolutely correct. It's a whole mix of people. I am really in support of Care Court, which is a state initiative, community assistance and recovery and empowerment. I worked for the mayor of San Diego when he was supportive of Care Court, and that was coming forward. And I think that it's kind of a no-brainer. It is involuntary mental health treatment for folks that need it. And it's a lot of folks on our streets that have family members who would be able to help them with this, get them into that treatment, because a lot of folks don't want to go. They're offered, and they don't. That being said, I do not support a homelessness encampment ban, at least not in totality. Maybe we could discuss about just, distances from schools and whatnot. But I think because we do not have a real homeless shelter out here, and we certainly don't have one that has wraparound services, I just don't think it's right to ban it because we don't have another option. And I think sending folks to jail and putting something on their record is not what we need to be doing. We do need to focus on getting people mental health treatment. We need to focus on getting people into homes. I'm on the Community Police Oversight Board, and I know Matthew Smiley, who has been the main point of contact on the home program. We need to keep funding it. We need to expand it as soon as possible. And we need to work together with, especially with our East County cities. The city of Lemon Grove has already volunteered to put a shelter there with wraparound services. Let's work with them and let's make that happen, because that needs to be a top priority.
Okay. And Shawn, what are your thoughts about addressing the homelessness problem?
Well, first off, I'm from North Carolina originally. I actually moved to California in 2001. So I'm not used to or grew up seeing a lot of homeless, like maybe two of my entire adulthood lived in North Carolina. So it's still like a shock to me, but I think some people are kind of like desensitized to it. I think nobody should call the sidewalk their home in La Mesa. That is just insane. A few things that I came up with that I've thought of. Number one, offer them a shelter in jail. We we shelter and we feed criminals, but we do nothing for the homeless. So we actually give more to criminals than the people who can't really afford to, have a home. So offer a 60-day period in jail with no criminal record on your record. It's just this is where you're going to stay for the next 60 days. I, it, like I said, I've been thinking about that, and obviously it's somewhat controversial, but I think since we house and feed criminals, we should kind of do the similar same thing for the homeless. Um, Encampments, I think just enforcing the rules that we already have on the books, like Kristine said, mental illness and drug addiction is, I think, 80% of the homeless, which is a huge amount. Once we can attract that with the homeless, I'm sorry, I'm getting my words. Once we can address, the mental illness and the drug addiction, and if they don't want to get out the streets, that's when we enforce the laws that we already have on the books as far as trespassing and stuff like that. I've had business owners, tell me that they're thinking about moving their business, selling and moving out of the Mesa because of the homeless. She made a pretty good analogy. She said, "Have I ever heard of the broken window theory?" I was like, "No." She said they put two Mercedes and they broke the windows on one. They put it in a bad neighborhood, but everybody came by and the one that was always broken. And she said that La Mesa, some parts of La Mesa are broken, and some people feel that, okay, since this area kind of look less like it's like taken care of, we should encamp there. So if La Mesa kept up its maintenance as far as grooming the grass, cutting, make sure all the freeways, there's no bushes around where you can build an encampment, the homeless wouldn't see that a fit place to live. So, which I thought was an amazing analogy.
Time.
Is it over?
Yeah, we're at time. We're over time,
Okay.
actually.
But yeah, getting everybody on the same page as far as homelessness with all the counties, because we can't just solve it here in La Mesa. It has to be collectively done with all the cities in San Diego County.
Thank you, Shawn. Let's do this next question. I think we can do it in a minute or less. Should La Mesa have district elections and or campaign finance reform? These are some questions that came in from the public. Let's see. Kristine, it's your turn to tackle that one first.
Yes, I think we need to have campaign finance reform. There was a couple years ago an article in the Union Tribune. We basically have no campaign finance reform other than state law. We need to have a system where Shawn, who's running for city council, but it costs $1,800 to get your ballot statement on. That's not correct. And there have been other cities that have agreed to pay for a candidate's ballot statement. Why won't we? Why don't we limit contributions? $250, $300 a person. Yes, there is a risk that you'll get independent expenditures of PAC money coming in for candidates. However, it doesn't mean that we should not pursue campaign finance reform. And that is a topic that both political parties hate, but I love.
Okay. And what about go ahead. I was going to ask you about the district elections, yes or no?
I think right now, as we look at the candidates, we have a great disbursement across La Mesa. However, historically, that has not been the case. I think district elections are a really good way to go. I think that each part of La Mesa has its own unique charm and character. And by doing district elections, you reflect that portion of La Mesa's electorate and charm and character. And we're also one of the only cities that doesn't do district elections. And here today, I look at the candidates and I think, my gosh, we have some diversity in geography. Thank goodness. But that has rarely been the case in La Mesa. And so I'm a big fan of campaign finance reform and district elections.
All right. Lauren, what are your thoughts on those two issues?
Yeah, I am in favor of both. Speaking of the district elections, the reason that we don't have district elections here in La Mesa, I know Kristine knows this, but for anyone watching who might not, is because we were not threatened with a lawsuit. There were a ton of lawsuits going around to cities all around California, and the ones that were successful were primarily in cities that were not electing Hispanic or Latino folks onto their councils. And we have a history of doing that here in La Mesa. Mayor Art Madrid, for example, Laura Lothian, myself running now. So I'm really proud of that for La Mesa, but I think it's really important that we do have district elections because each part of La Mesa is really different. Like I said, I live on probably the densest street in La Mesa. It's really different than people that live near the village or people that live on the very, very base of Mount Helix that is incorporated. It's all super different. So I think we should, in terms of campaign finance reforms, I absolutely think we need to. Certainly, we've got PACs and IEs, independent expenditures that happen. Those are a lot harder to track. And so I don't know that it needs to be as low as 250 or 300, but I definitely think that we need to be talking about reforming our finances here in the city of La Mesa.
Okay, great. Does anyone know what causes the feedback we're getting? We're getting, like an echo on some speakers. No.
Someone might have it open
If you have
in
your
another.
Facebook, yeah, or if you have the Facebook page open with the sound playing, if you could maybe turn the volume down on that or something, that would help. Let's see, Shawn, go ahead and give us your views on whether we need district elections or campaign finance reform in La Mesa.
Well, I mean, I think district, I don't know if that would like limit, the people who decide to run. Um, but I'm for it. I'm not against it. It's like, okay, I don't think we're really big enough to have where this person is kind of with that particular section. So that's something I will have to probably learn more about to get all the ins and outs before I kind of render a really good decision. I mean, do you have to live in the district, obviously? So would that disqualify someone else from running or not running? But it just seems like we just should leave it like it is for now, I think. And if more evidence or more, you know, information comes that we need to change it because it's a problem, like lawsuits and stuff, yeah, change it. As far as the campaign reform, I think it's important to remember, just like Christina said, $1,800 to get your name on the ballot, this ballot statement. That's pretty, yeah, that's because some people feel, you know what, I still do it, but that's kind of like a poll tax to me. It's like, okay, why do I have to pay that to do that? I think that needs to be reformed. But as far as the other stuff, I think it's pretty much not bad. Just more information to make a really good decision on it, to really reform it completely.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's see, did everyone get a shot at that one? I've lost track of where we are here.
I haven't had a shot yet.
Genevieve, go for it.
It probably feels like I have. Thank you, Miriam.
No, that's okay.
I feel like I've been talking for an hour. I think I am.
Yeah.
So I actually, I'd have to look into it more because I like the idea of La Mesa not having districts. And the reason why is our city is so oddly cut. And I think you know what I mean. You could just walk down one of the streets off Lake Murray and all of a sudden you're in San Carlos. And it's odd because you don't know really where would you draw these distinctions, and what does that mean? And for instance, you'd have one district that might have a lot of people who are interested in getting involved in government, and then you might have another district that has nobody interested. And so you'd pull some, you know, I would have to look into it. I kind of like the idea that we don't have districts yet. I know that there are benefits to it, obviously, because we would have a more diverse. I think Christine's right that I mean, we are lucky right now. This is a very diverse group of candidates, but it would open it up. I just really love the fact that La Mesa is very unified right now. And so when we have our candidates, we're all just from La Mesa. We're not from a certain district. As for campaign reform, yes, I am for campaign reform. I think one of the things that's super important is our forms that we have to turn in as candidates so that people know who our donors are, and how much has been spent. We need to do contribution limits. We don't have that. And I think that that would help. I agree. It should be easier for people to enter this race. And so that you don't have to be worried that I don't have enough money. I didn't do the didn't raise the $100,000. But I think more information for the public is only to its benefit.
Okay, thank you so much. Next question. I think I'm going to try to do the rest of these in a minute, I think, just so we can get as many questions as we can. And it's been 4 years since La Mesa had racial justice protests and a devastating riot. Has enough been done since then to restore trust in policing and also to help keep and also to keep our streets safe? Lauren, I'll let you take this first.
Thank you. That was horribly devastating to our city. I remember waking up like 6 a.m. to the news, and it was just devastating and shocking. Like I said, I'm on the Community Police Oversight Board. It was contrary to popular belief. It was actually not formed because of the riots. It was formed because a grand jury made that recommendation to the city of La Mesa, because we had some racial justice and other policing issues in the city. But we are making some really great strides with the Oversight Board, with the complaint form that we've just updated. probably like 8 months ago now. We do a lot of work on that board. It's really cool. And so we're making progress. I don't think we can say that we've done enough, but our police officers are doing absolutely everything in their power to be out in the community, to be at high schools, to be at our events. And Chief Ray Sweeney is just absolutely incredible. He's doing a really great job. So I think we have to keep working on this. But I know our police officers and our city council and the people of La Mesa all want to see that relationship improve and continue to do so.
Okay. Shawn, what are your thoughts on this important issue?
Well, I mean, it's really important, you know, that police obviously get along. I've talked to many police officers.
Your sound is cutting in and out, Shawn. We'll give you an extra 5 seconds.
Let me get a little bit closer. Can
Yeah,
you hear me now?
yeah, go ahead and start over. We'll start your time.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's important that, you know, the police maintain that community dialogue with the community and making sure that they're just doing the exact same thing that they're doing. I remember watching that big march on the 8th and over the guy who was
George Floyd.
In Grossmont. He was doing a Grossmont trolley station.
Oh, it
was
altercation with the officer and the African American.
the apartment housing over there. So I just think since the cops are doing such a great job, just keep striving. I mean, every police force isn't perfect. Nobody's perfect. It's just that we got to, you know, supply our cops with the know-how to deal with the public and know how to escalate certain things and issues and situations that may come about. But as far as I'm concerned, I love the La Mesa Police Department. I've been with them for I've been knowing them for many, many years. I remember one day I was parked outside of my house and a cop pulled behind me and he turned on his lights. And I was like, what's going on? He gets out and he's like, let me see your driver's license and registration. I was like, for what? He's like, we got a call of a suspicious car in the neighborhood. And I was like, well, I live right here. And he was like, oh, do you have a driver's license? I was like, yeah. So I showed him my driver's license. They had the exact same address as the house I was sitting in. And he was caught off guard when I showed him a picture of me and Walt Vasquez out to dinner. And I was like, if you need to know who I am, you can ask your boss. And I showed him my phone that we was out to dinner. He's like,
the former police chief.
Yeah. This was probably 2011, 2012. 2011, 2012, somewhere around there. So issues like that shouldn't happen. And we just have to let the police know that, you know, you don't approach someone like that unless you have a probable cause. But as far as the police, they've been doing a great job. I've talked to a few of them. A lot of them has retired, the ones that I've, you know, known 10 years ago, which is, you know, it's diverse too. And they're much diverse than what it was back in the days. I met a few recently. That's good.
We're at time here. Thank you very much, Shawn. I appreciate it. Genevieve, can you address the issues of policing and public safety?
Yeah, I remember the riots, and I'll tell you that night I was with my daughter in her room, and she was very scared. She was in grade school and asking me if everything was going to be okay. And my son was and we heard the helicopters above. It was really a scary time. But one positive thing out of that, well, there were several positive things that came out of that. Awareness for how we needed to improve and address social and racial justice issues. The other positive thing was the next day, I was out there with many people from La Mesa painting over the graffiti, helping each other, hugging each other. And it was a pretty meaningful time in terms of like just how we addressed it. I think I was proud to be in La Mesa at that time and the next day, not that night, but the next day, because we really all clung together. I think Chief Sweeney has done a fantastic job of addressing what they need to do. Our officers, I went on a ride along last month, and my officer, Officer Gutierrez, had only been doing it for a year. And her kindness and her skill, I was just very impressed with her. So I want to say that the police oversight board and all of the efforts that the police department are making, they're working.
Okay. Thank you very much, Genevieve. Kristine, give us your thoughts on the policing and public safety issues.
I think the police department, as Lauren mentioned, has made great strides in community outreach. I am impressed by what they are doing. As far as the night of the riots, I was at Maxwell's House of Books watching the Randall Lamb building burn down and someone swinging a baseball bat at my head.
Ooh.
So I think that as much as the police have done to really do outreach and prevent that from happening, where I feel like they haven't done as much as they probably could is reassuring the business owners, homeowners, especially the business community, that that will never happen again. It was a very frightening thing to be downtown with buildings on fire, with people wandering around, threatening to break in your windows, swinging bats at your head. And I don't want anyone ever, 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 as a business owner or a nearby homeowner, to go through that again. And the police have done a fabulous job, as Lauren pointed out, to build better community relations. And I support them 110%. But that sort of thing should never happen again.
Thank you, Kristine. Let's see, I think everyone's answered that one, right? Okay, great. Moving on. What ideas do you have for revitalizing some of the older areas of La Mesa that don't always get enough attention, as well as enhancing La Mesa's downtown village, including any new types of businesses that you might hope to help attract to the city? I've lost track. I think let's see. Kristine's.
It's probably me. I finished last.
Okay, go ahead.
But whoever you want.
I think you're right. Go ahead, Kristine.
The downtown village is a symbolic heart of La Mesa, and I think we need to protect it. And we need to make sure the uses that are there are in conformance with what's there now. As far as the rest of La Mesa, it should not be treated as separate. We need to continue, and I think Lauren, from the Chamber of Commerce standpoint, I'm also endorsed by the San Diego Chamber of Commerce East, recognizes the need for investment. One of the key things we can do is not decide what kind of businesses that we want in La Mesa, but make things easier for businesses to start. If you're a small business, you shouldn't be waiting. I mentioned carrying costs for affordable housing. You shouldn't be waiting 6 months, 3 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years to get your permits in order. There are lots of entrepreneurs and lots of people who want to have businesses in La Mesa, whether it's a nail salon, a restaurant, a real estate office. It really doesn't matter. The key is making our city business friendly. And as far as the businesses I'd like to see in La Mesa, you name it, whether it's retail, restaurant, a boutique, a nail salon, as I mentioned before, a business like they have up on Baltimore that sells organic pet food, because I'm a pet person. That is all great. Just make it easier for these businesses to come into La Mesa, and I think you will get a lot more businesses in La Mesa. If someone comes in and they say, oh, I want to start a business down on University Avenue, it's going to take you 9 months to a year to get permits, they aren't going to choose to be here. And I think that's the key.
Okay, thank you, Kristine. Lauren, your thoughts on revitalizing La Mesa and bringing new businesses in?
Yeah, as Kristine mentioned, I'm also endorsed by the East County Chamber of Commerce, and I work for the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. They are separate, but we do work together. We just let them focus on East County. But I really think I'm the daughter of small business owners, as I mentioned earlier, and I really think that it should be easy to start a business in La Mesa, and cheap and timely, and it's not right now. I also really firmly believe that our businesses and our entrepreneurs should not be bankrupted by unfunded government mandates. That is something that we're seeing at a lot of different levels, in the state and even in our cities. And that's something that I really feel is unacceptable. So I want to prioritize just enhancing the local economy and supporting small and diverse businesses. Some of our most diverse businesses in the region are right here in La Mesa. We have a spice shop. We just had a Mexican cositas shop, like a party shop. We've got dance studios, nail salons, florists. We need to do that by streamlining the business regulations, cutting bureaucratic red tape, which I know how to do because I've worked in the bureaucracy, and also collaborate with workforce organizations in our schools to ensure that we have a skilled and trained, and our unions to make sure that we have a skilled and trained workforce in the city of La Mesa so that we can continue to thrive.
Very good. Thank you, Lauren. And Shawn, let's hear from you about your ideas for revitalization and bringing new businesses to town.
Well, I can only assume that I'm the only candidate that ran down every street in La Mesa, which I've trained for 5 half marathons. So I use La Mesa as my training ground. So I've actually ran past everybody's house here at one point in 2022 and 2023.
Really are wearing
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. The permitting, the house permitting, the permitting board, I think the reason why they're kind of like not efficient is because they outsource it. I think it needs to be an in-house deal when it comes to permitting and getting permits to build. I think we need to make it easier for people to build a granny flag on their home, on the back of their homes, to make it, relatively for a friend or a family member to rent. So that will kind of increase the housing, popular, affordable housing a little bit better. But businesses are huge. They should not wait 9 months to get a permit. I actually had a problem with the permit. There was some construction in on my house, and it's like, okay, what's going on? And that puts everybody in an awkward situation, especially when you're paying a contractor who can't move. You're paying him to do something, and he has his equipment there, and his equipment is being rented, so it just sits there. So yeah, insourcing the permitting, stop outsourcing it, and making permits to build 20 flags much easier and efficient.
Okay. And Genevieve, we'll let you wrap up the question on revitalization and new businesses.
This is probably one of my favorite questions, Miriam. I think you know why, because I have my secret goal of getting a Korean barbecue in the village. I do not know why we don't have a Korean barbecue.
That's delicious.
And I'm putting that out there in the universe because we need one. I don't want to drive to Convoy for it anymore, and I don't think we should have to. We're a diverse community. And so I want that. I will say, I love the direction our village is going in. Places like Popolo, City Tacos, Public Square, Sheldon's. I just love them. Floral Craft. I was speaking to her. I love our village. I think that our La Mesa Village Association is doing a good job. Shout out to our Oktoberfest. It's happening this weekend. Why don't we have a German restaurant? I mean, La Mesa is a fantastic city. There's a reason why we felt good about staying for 15 years here. This is a place where we could really grow and our families can grow, and we need our businesses to. That said, I agree with Kristine. I think that we need to make it easier for permitting. We need to make it more business friendly. I am a pro-business candidate. I had my own business up until actually this year because my 90-year-old mom who lives with us had some health problems. And so I know what it's like to run a business in La Mesa. And I will tell you, as a business owner in La Mesa, I actually loved it. I thought that everybody was very encouraging, but I also didn't run a restaurant. So we need more restaurants. We need retail shops. I'd like a little like more like a, North Park, South Park feel. I think that we're prime for it. And I think that it's time for our village to start kind of, renewing itself to fit the community that now lives and thrives in our city.
Okay. I think we all agree with you on the restaurants. We've got a lot going on in chat here. People saying, bring back the Russian restaurant or the German restaurant. Um, anyway, um, moving on here. Um, January, we saw some of the worst storms and floodings across San Diego and East County in, decades, if not more. And with climate change, we're seeing more severe storms really all over the place. Just look at the hurricane, hitting the southeast coast right now. So my question is, has La Mesa done enough to address its infrastructure, especially storm drains, to protect the Masons against, future flooding and other impacts of climate change? Let's see. Kristine, you went first this time, so I believe it is Lauren's turn to lead this one off.
Is that correct? I'm not sure if that's correct.
Oh, maybe no, wait a minute.
It might be Shawn.
Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry. I flipped a couple questions. So you're right. Shawn, you go first on this one.
Yeah, I think La Mesa is with the hills and the valleys that it has. I don't think it has too much problems with drastic rain. I mean, there has been times where I've seen trash cans float down Cinnabar, but that was that was like extreme. So I really think La Mesa is pretty well off when it comes to drain. There's no drainage problem where we have stagnated water a long period of time. Even out there, Fashion Valley, they got that figured out. They built a big old trench over by Dragon Snap Park, so that won't flood anymore, which is great. But I think the Mesa infrastructure can handle not a major flood, but I mean the current natural devastating weather that we're seeing. So there are certain people who live in houses. I can tell you the streets, like I said, I ran down them all and I've seen some unique stuff. And I've seen driveways that go almost 30 degrees and then there's a garage. And I'm like, oh yeah, they're definitely going to get flooded. But other than the overall city, I think it's done a pretty good job as far as, drainage and stuff when we have those storms. Yeah.
Okay. Genevieve, let's hear from you about storm drains and other infrastructure.
So I know that La Mesa has done a good job of infrastructure improvements. We've been trying to keep up, and I think our city has done, like I said, I think they're pretty effective. I think that though it is an aging city, and so we need to keep up, and we also need to make sure that we have our infrastructure improvements are green with an eye toward climate action, like our climate action plan. And we need to make sure that we are providing the same kind of community outreach so that people can get involved and have the kind of information available to them that will help them help themselves. Because when things happen, they need to be able to address it by either sandbagging or making sure that the drains are clear. That said, I mean, emergency response plans are very important. And as far as I know, La Mesa's done a good job of that as well. Last night I learned about CERT, and our CERT program is fantastic. They have a lot of volunteers who are helping with flooding so that, God forbid, if something ever happened, as it's happening in South Carolina, we would be prepared. But I think that continuing the infrastructure direction is important, and to make sure that we're addressing the problems as they come and trying to get in front of it so that we're not reactionary.
Okay, thank you very much, Genevieve. Kristine, your thoughts on infrastructure?
I used to always say when I was first elected to the council back in 2012, sewers are not sexy, and they aren't. And there's something no one thinks about. You don't think about storm drains, you don't think about runoff until it happens. You absolutely must maintain that system. One of the businesses I own is a business called Corey Self Storage. It's right next to the Spring Valley swap meet.
Yeah, you'd
If you want to know what happens when you have torrential rains and people don't keep the waterways clean, ask me. I got a call at, oh geez, about 10 a.m., 9:30 a.m., and my facility was underwater. It's not in a floodplain. It's nowhere near a floodplain. And that taught me that you as the county, I will give Akila Weber a ton of credit. She was out there with her people, but the county was ill prepared for what happened. They did not, they kind of slowed down and cleared stuff. They told us, oh, you have 150 flooded storage units. You have to drive them with a truck over to the middle school. No, wrong answer. So as far as preparedness goes, we ran out of sandbags at the city of La Mesa. We need to be ready for that. We need to be ready for extreme heat. We need to be ready for extreme climate. The sewers and the storm drains are only part of it, but when it happens, how are you going to help the average person? And I would prefer that La Mesa be light years above the county of San Diego in responding to this. Having suffered through it myself, if elected, I will make sure we have a plan that if people's homes are flooded, and I agree with Shawn, it's unlikely in La Mesa. If people's businesses are flooded, we are ready to help them. And that is the key thing. You don't want to walk up to your business, walk up to your storage unit, walk up to your house like we did in Spring Valley, have it be 6 feet underwater, and everyone goes, oh, well, we have a response. You can drive your trash to the middle school. Wrong answer.
Thank you, Kristine. We're over quite a bit,
Okay.
but we appreciate that. And I think Kristine makes a very good point, though, that it isn't just having big enough storm drains or enough storm drains. It's making sure that the city or county or whatever jurisdiction is keeping them clear. Her place flooded because the county failed to do that. Let's see, who didn't? I think everyone
Lauren.
shot at that one.
Oh, just me.
Huh?
Me,
Right?
Lauren.
I'm sorry, Lauren, go ahead.
Thank you. So, this is something that's obviously really, really serious. There actually were flooded buildings in the city of La Mesa, and my condo building is right next to a building that was completely and totally flooded and decimated, and it displaced over 30 families that were living here in the city of La Mesa. And I'm going to be really frank here. The city council did not acknowledge that. And I think that is harmful and hurtful that they didn't acknowledge that, because those were families that were living here and that were contributing to the city of La Mesa. We need to apparently really get up to date on mandatory inspections, because that building should never have flooded. That the rain that we got here was not severe enough for it to do the damage that it did to the building right next door to me. And so we need to really work on our inspections and keeping things up to date and safe. Yes, from fire, but also from flooding, because it has happened here and it does. We need to promote permeable surfaces on our streets and our roads. And of course, keep our storm drains clear, which we have been doing in the city of La Mesa, unlike almost anywhere else. So we need to keep doing that. But we need to acknowledge the realities that it is happening here and that it did. And those folks never should have been displaced, and they should have been helped by the city.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lauren. Next question is, I would like to hear from each of you. Who are your most important endorsements? And also, we've had readers ask us to ask each candidate to please disclose any potential conflicts of interest that might require you to recuse from votes, especially on development issues, that sort of thing. Let's see. I think, Shawn, it's your turn to go first on this one.
You want me to go first?
I think so. Let me see. Just a minute.
No,
Actually, no, I got that wrong. It's you were first last time. Genevieve, it's your turn to go first on this one.
Oh, okay.
If we did this in person, we'd have one of those things that people pass on to the next candidate.
No, I'm glad to go first. My most important endorsements are my kids, but other than that, and my husband. But I am proud to be endorsed by our La Mesa Heartland Fire and Rescue. Or our La Mesa firefighters. I'm endorsed by our police. I'm endorsed by our mayor and La Mesa City Council members, Patricia Dillard, Jack Shue, and Colin Parent. I'm also endorsed by the San Diego Democratic Party. I'm endorsed by the San Diego Labor Council, endorsed by, I feel like there's so many people who I just really am proud to be endorsed by. Oh, one of our supervisors, Monica Montgomery Stepp, one of my favorite people in the world. I went to law school with her. And I just really am proud to be doing this. And so everyone's endorsements really mean a lot to me. And you can see that on my website. Any conflicts of interest, not really, because we're not in San Diego, so San Diego Unified School District won't be an issue. And I'm hoping that no one has any family law issues. So I don't think that'll be an
don't have council
issue.
members beating each other up.
Correct.
Or their spouses.
We're not.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Kristine, your endorsements and any conflicts.
You know what? My favorite endorsement is someone who I never thought I'd get along with, who I fought with like cats and dogs when I was on the council, and who I think knows the most about La Mesa than all of us, and who I have the utmost respect for, and that's our former mayor, Art Madrid. um, if people were following it back then, we were argued left, right, indifferent, disagreed on almost everything. But after we were both out of office, we started to come together and think logically about what faces La Mesa. We came together through a group of concerned citizens that wanted to stop billboards from being erected here. And we started talking, and we thought, why were we arguing? Was it partisan? Was it our political parties? Was our lack of political parties? What the heck was wrong with us? And so that's my favorite endorsement. I mean, I can't think of anyone with more institutional knowledge about La Mesa, anyone who thinks clearer about La Mesa, anyone who has that much experience than Art Madrid. As far as conflicts, obviously I have a conflict regarding anything that's near the Cantera project. And when the Cantera project came before the city council way back when to get the final map, I stepped out. And so that would be my big conflict. Other than anything's around my house, I would think I would have a conflict with. People have asked me if my significant other's bookstore would be a conflict for me. I have no direct or indirect financial gain from that. I love the guy, but I don't have any financial gain from that. And I view that, aside from the Cantera project and the fact that my office is located at 9400 Grossmont Summit Drive in La Mesa, I would not have any conflicts.
Okay, very good. Lauren, the endorsements you're most proud of, and anything that might make you recuse off of a vote.
Yeah, so I'll start with potential recusals. Obviously, I do own a condo, and I'm in an HOA, so anything right around here. But also working for the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce, I am a paid lobbyist. I have not lobbied on any issues directly in La Mesa. in terms of like real legit paid lobbying. I've, advocated as a personal citizen, that's separate. But anything that I did, if that were to come up in the future, I would absolutely recuse myself from those votes. It would not be appropriate for me to work on. I work on a lot of energy projects throughout the county. Again, haven't worked on any of them here in the city of La Mesa. But if it did come up, it's absolutely something that I would recuse myself from, even though, they're not personally paying me, they are paying my employer, and therefore I'm a paid lobbyist. So I would be very transparent. All of my lobbying activity is transparent with the County of San Diego, with the state, and anywhere else that I've lobbied. My most proud endorsements, La Mesa Firefighters Local 4759, or La Mesa Police Officers Association. I'm extremely proud to have that endorsement. The East County Chamber of Commerce and the San Diego and Imperial Counties Labor Council. I am the only candidate that was endorsed by both the Labor Council, made up of a bunch of labor unions, and the East County Chamber of Commerce, and I'm really proud of that. I think you can be pro-business and pro-union. Also, Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, Senator Tony Atkins, County Supervisor Monica Montgomery Stepp, Mayor Arapastathis, and 3 of the 4 La Mesa Council members.
Very good. Thank you. We are at time. Shawn, let's hear from you about any endorsements that you'd like to tell us about, and any conflicts that might mean you would need to recuse from voting.
No conflict of interest. Probably one of my most unique endorsements that I really cherish is Patrick Hayes. He's an attorney at law at Alpine, and he's a former FBI agent. And we've sat in my office and talked probably about 3 or 4 times a week on a weekly basis. So I would probably consider him one of my very cherished endorsements.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're ready to go to wrapping things up. I'm going to ask each of you to provide a brief closing statement. I think we've got enough time actually for up to 1.5 minutes on this. And if there's any other, if you could tell us, your closing statement. If you want, you can tell us where voters can find more information on your candidacy. And if there's any issue I didn't ask you about, or any burning desire you have for something you want to get done for La Mesa that wasn't in the questions, then here's your chance to let people know. Let's see. Genevieve, did I get to you on that last question? Did I miss you?
I was first.
Just making sure I'm losing track.
Thank you, Miriam.
Okay, so Kristine, we'll let you go first on the closing statements.
First of all, I want to thank you, Miriam, for hosting this forum. I know there have been other like Facebook or podcasts where not all the candidates were invited. I feel like we have an extremely strong group here. We don't have hyper partisans here. I love Shawn. I love his honesty. I love the fact that he's not afraid to say, I don't know. I think all politicians, anyone holding elected office should do that. I love Genevieve and Lauren for their experience and their dedication to the city. And I hope, and I am elected, and whoever I serve with, I will be your friend. If you want me to be a mentor, I'll be a mentor, and I will be proud to serve with any of you, because you are all great, and you're wanting to do this for our city is just fabulous. Again, this is the best candidate group that I've ever been with, and all the times I ran, well, twice I ran for city council, as far as good-hearted, honest, wonderful people. And I thank you for having this forum, and I wish everyone the best of luck.
Thank you, Kristine. Lauren, your turn to give us your closing thoughts.
Thank you again to Miriam and East County Magazine for hosting. Thank you to Aaron for keeping time for us tonight. And thank you again to Genevieve, Kristine, and Shawn for throwing your hat into the ring and running, and for their passion and care for La Mesa, and for participating tonight. I agree with what Kristine said. I think it's really important that all of the candidates are invited to engage in forums, whether it's a formal forum on Zoom or by the media, or anything else. I think it's important that everyone hears from all of us, and it shouldn't take money or personal relationships to do that. I am really proud of the race that I've been running. For folks who might not know, I've been running for over 500 days when Colin Parent decided to jump into the assembly race after Dr. Akilah Weber decided to run for Senate. A week later, I jumped into the city council race. I'm really proud of the work that I've done for the past year and a half. And I'm doing this because I want to give back to the city that raised me. My parents lived the American dream, and I got to be that second generation of the American dream. And I want everyone to be able to do that. I shouldn't be an anomaly that I was able to stay here and buy a home here. Everyone should be able to do that. I also do just want to give a quick shout out. We've never elected an LGBTQ council member ever in East County. I don't think that's a reason to vote for me, but I think that is a really cool opportunity that we have in the city of La Mesa. And I hope to be the first. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Lauren. And Shawn, let's hear your closing comments.
Well, I started this race with a pamphlet in my car, and been running since June or July. That's when I did all the paperwork. Being a trainer, it allows me to honestly have some tough conversations with people. We've had the same leadership since 1981 in La Mesa. That's when Art Madrid joined the city council. Jimmy Carter was president. So between Art Madrid and Marco Raftery, the connection to Jimmy Carter is just mind-boggling to me. So I think I bring a different take, a different breed to the city council, and that's why I want to start. That's one reason I decided to run. I know the Mesa has some dysfunction that I need to find out. I want her to be my new client, and I'm going to train her, I'm going to work her, I'm going to proud, and we're going to get things in shape, and we're going to do all we possibly can to make the Mesa a better place to live. And I'm not the type of person to just talk, I'm a doer. So when I say I'm going to do something, it's engraved in stone. I would do it no matter what. If I say I'm going to have a picnic and it's rain, I'm going to find outside where it's not raining to have a picnic. So it's one of those things where I have a passion to always execute goals. And my goal is to become city council of La Mesa and then make a major change where people are giving me high fives in the grocery aisle. It's like, hey, man, you really said that. Yeah, that's what I urge. That's what my passion is about. I've trained multiple hundreds of people in La Mesa. I even trained Laura, and she was one of my clients years ago, her and her daughter. I trained her at the village gym. So when I say I've trained a lot of people, I've trained a lot of people in La Mesa. So like I said, it started with a pamphlet sitting in my car, and I just want to make a huge difference in the lives of the people that are trained in La Mesa. And obviously, the people here, I will be your city council too. But if you're mine, I will work with you no matter what. I mean, I've actually offered to be Lauren's campaign manager. I think she turned me down. She never. She was gonna. I noticed the collective of her signs next to my sign, so I sent her a text like, "Hey, I see your signs next to my signs. Let me know if you want to be your campaign manager." So I sent her a text on that. So, but I enjoy this group that we have here. It gives us the time to kind of, put up what we do best, and hopefully we can come together. Obviously, two of us will be working together, and I will work with any three of these women here that are just, to me, are amazing.
Okay, thank you so much, Shawn. And Genevieve, we will let you have the final word with your closing comments.
Thank you, Miriam, and thank you for hosting this forum, East County Magazine. Thank you to my fellow candidates, Kristine, Lauren, Shawn. I have appreciated this forum, just like I appreciate canvassing around La Mesa. I've loved knocking on every door I've knocked on, pretty much, even the ones where it's been a little harder, because I'm learning more and I'm making more friends. And I think that's very important. I agree with Shawn. It feels good to high five people in the grocery store. But as we wrap up, I'd like to share a personal note. Like many people watching and people in La Mesa, I'm a member of the sandwich generation. I care for my family, my young family, while supporting my 90-year-old mom who also lives with us. And one of the things that makes La Mesa great are our people. And, whether it's our firefighters and our EMTs who came to her aid, or the nurses who were there at Sharp, everyone. It's just been an amazing experience. And it's deepened my understanding of the challenges many of us face. As a member of the AAPI community, I'm also committed to bringing diverse perspectives to the table. I'd just like to thank you again for sharing this journey with me. If you'd like to learn more about me, please visit my website at suzukiforlamesa.com. It's suzukiforlamesa.com. I look forward to meeting everyone. I'm going to keep staying walking our precincts, knocking on doors, and if you see me, please stop me. I'm wearing my big hat. I'm from Hawaii originally, y'all. So I am very much about the aloha, and I think that our city has the same kind of love that I grew up with in Honolulu. And living here for 15 years as a homeowner, as a parent, as an attorney, I've just found it to be the best place, and we really are a jewel of the hills. So thank you.
Well, I want to thank all of our wonderful candidates for taking the time tonight to join us and share your views. I hope that the viewers have found it informative. I think we know a lot more about their stances on the issues, and I think we have a very impressive, strong, diverse array of candidates this year. I'm born and raised in La Mesa, a native La Mesan. I love La Mesa, and I can tell that all of you have a passion for La Mesa and for really wanting to help people, which is really the right reason to go into politics. So I wish all of you well. For the viewers out there, please watch for your ballots that are in the mail right now. So you may be getting them any day now. And if you tuned in late to this or you have friends that missed it, we will be posting video of this forum up on our site within the next couple of days. So you can find it at eastcountymagazine.org. We do also have a brief earlier article with some information on all the candidates. So we hope we'll see you there. And I want to thank Aaron also for being our timekeeper tonight. So good luck to you. And, we look forward to following up with whoever the winners are on election night. So thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Let's see here.
That's it? Just hang up?
Yeah, hang on. I'm just trying to figure out how to get us off of Facebook. There we go. Takes a second and